Hello, hockey fans. Welcome back to another episode of High Flying, the podcast made for the fans, by the fans. My co-host is
By the
actively
fence.
taking a sip of coffee. My name is Nolan. That co-host is my buddy Jude Wessel. How's it going, Jude?
Good man. Good. It's early.
How's the caffeine today?
Hitting good. I'm gonna need it to hit a little better because we're doing this so early today.
Oh, a perfect transition. Speaking of hitting good, I feel like a large part of this episode is going to be recapping the weekend that we had in sports. But I want to give a little shout out first. Uh, as Jude and most people know, I'm not the biggest frequenter of baseball, but some news came across my desk. So speaking of hitting good, I just want to give a little congratulations to Mr. Jeff Kent for being inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Nice. Yeah. Baseball Hall of Fame's a weird one. It's like damn near impossible to get into. I don't know. Don Mattingly, Yankee great, didn't get in, so I'm kind of sour on the Baseball Hall of Fame. I think Pete Rose should be in there. I think Barry Bonds and all the good boys should be in there. Fuck it. I don't care that they were juicing.
Well, so here's why I bring up Mr. Jeff Kent. As we know, uh, I'm a big fan of Survivor. That's my jam. Jeff Kent might be one of my favorite Survivor players ever. It's a little known fact that maybe G didn't know. Mr. Jeff Kent was on the season of Survivor Philippines. He got out very early, but that's okay. Whenever we have a Survivor player in the Baseball Hall of Fame, that's pretty cool.
Not bad. I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, there you go. Go back, watch the season, see how he did. He was a good strategic mind, and I think that's why they voted him out because he was thinking probably a little above everyone else's capacity. But I have a shelf of custom Survivor pot figures made by our friend Todd Herzog. Todd's Pop Shop, check it out, and he's also the one who made ours, so you can order ours from him if you'd like. But I have a list of all of my favorite survivors that I kind of want to get. Jeff is definitely on that list. So big congratulations to you, Jeff. And if for whatever reason you're listening to this, we would love to have you on the pod to either talk Survivor or baseball, your pick.
So good at baseball, not good at Survivor, is what you're saying.
Too good at Survivor. They got him out because he was too good. I would love for him to play again. He's probably not going to play again, but I would love for him to play again. Jeff, get back out there.
Right. There's been a
He
lot
he
of
should talk to the other Jeff and get on the island.
there's been a lot of big baseball news in the last few days. I don't know how much you've been keeping up with signings and stuff.
Not gonna lie, that's the only baseball news I've
Oh,
heard
okay,
of.
fair enough.
So
Well,
maybe you wanna enlighten me and some of the other
yeah.
listeners.
I'll just do a quick rundown. Devin Williams, probably my least favorite Yankee I've ever seen, signed with the Crosstown Mets recently. He was started this year as the Yankees closer, ultimately lost that job because he stunk.
Is this the guy? Is this the guy when we were watching the game at your place that I was complaining about because he was wearing the chains?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, fucking Devin Williams. We don't like you. Go to the Mets.
Yeah,
You
so
and your stupid chains.
something like 50 million bucks for 3 years to go to the Mets. Good riddance. Good on you. Yeah, have a good time, Devin. I wish you all the success in the world. Um, the
Have fun
Mets,
losing, Devin. Have fun losing.
yeah, it's like playing for the Clippers of baseball. You know what I mean? Like it's the Lakers and the Clippers, different stories. But the Mets closer of the last number of years, absolute menace. Name is Edwin Diaz. He's been an all-star before a number of times. He signed with. Can everybody guess? Can everybody guess? The fucking Dodgers. Set the record for highest salary ever for a reliever in terms of average. So that sucks. Dodgers are gonna win it again, probably. Not great. Didn't love that. Pete Alonso, it just came down the pipe, has signed with the Orioles, 5-year deal, 155. He was a slugger for the Mets for the last 7 years. He was linked to Red Sox and Blue Jays and same teams that everybody's linked to. But yeah, I did not expect him to go to Baltimore, seeing as it's Baltimore. But here we are. So yeah, lots of baseball news coming around. I'm missing baseball. I'm starting to get to the point where it's like, all right, that was my fix every day for like 6 months, and now I just have to watch the 32nd place hockey team in the league every second night, and it hasn't been much fun. So I miss my Yankees. But yeah, that's kind of all I had for baseball going on.
Yeah, there you go. Big weekend in sports outside of hockey. We'll get to the hockey, but we can recap all the sports super quickly. MLS Cup. Unfortunately, the Vancouver Whitecaps did not prevail in the MLS Cup. But good news for the Whitecaps, they re-signed Thomas Mueller, or they extended him 1 year, so he'll be on the team next season. It's a little bit tough when you're going up against Lionel Messi and a team of basically all players from Argentina. Um, all these guys coming over from Europe. So you know what, I enjoyed the fight that the Whitecaps put up, and it was a good run for them, all in all.
Yeah, I was pretty sad about that game. Vancouver, we don't win a lot of stuff, and we had a chance to win something pretty cool. It was a really, really good game. I actually think the Whitecaps dominated for most of it, in terms of possession and everything. I know the numbers tell that story as well, but going down one early, when it happened, I was trying to convince myself, like, all right, this could be a good thing because now the boys are loose. You're not walking on eggshells at all. You're like, okay, we're down. We need to press. And I think that was true. They ended up tying it up, held most of the play. Even after they tied it up, Sabby came down with a great rush, hits a double post, dagger, looking back. And then I believe it was Kubas who had that giveaway to Messi there, for the 2-1 goal. And that was pretty devastating to watch. Um, wasn't too pleased with the decision making in the moment there. And I guess it just goes to show how good Messi is. He turned a Whitecaps ball within 3 seconds to a breakaway for Miami, and I believe it was DePaul who scored that goal. Made no mistake, so there was no coming back after that. But yeah, all in all, great year for the Whitecaps. I don't think anybody expected them to have the success that they did. So
No, and I think obviously a big part of that was bringing in a guy like Thomas Mueller, who's won at the highest level, who really knows what it takes and to inject some life into that locker room. I also thought Jesper Sorensen has done a great job structuring this team tactically. I think in terms of their formations and strategies, he's probably the most sound coach the Whitecaps have ever had. Um, and you have other guys that are kind of stepping up and showing that next level of development in their career. With the World Cup coming up, I don't really know if I want to say this, but Sebastian Berhalter is he's looking pretty dangerous out there. So I'm sure the Americans are happy to have him on their side.
yeah, I agree with you. World Cup should be fun. They did the draws for that last week, I believe. Can I just say, I think it's pretty hilarious that in the actual scoring they list Ide Ocampo, his own goal. They put it on Miami side as if he scored for them. Like they don't, it's
Yeah.
not like hockey where they just give credit to the last guy on the team that scored to touch it. They're just like, no, we're gonna put this guy's name in the light and make fun of him.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of weird how soccer does that, but it's almost kind of funnier. Like I think back, the last own goal I can remember is Patrick Laine just absolutely swadding it into his own net for the Jets back when he was on Winnipeg. That wasn't a fun one to watch, but watching that clip, he already felt bad enough. I'm sure he doesn't need his name on his own side of the scorecard. So it's kind of funny how soccer does it. Just going back to the Caps super quick. We talked maybe about a month ago or so about where there would be a new baseball stadium if there was ever MLB expansion or relocation to Vancouver. We might be needing a new soccer stadium because currently the Whitecaps do not have an agreement with BC Place for next year. So hopefully they get that all sorted out because it'd be a shame to. I don't think they're going to go next year, but we don't need a Arizona Coyotes Mullet Arena situation where the Caps aren't playing in BC Place at the height of their popularity. I remember growing up watching them in the USL playing at Swangard Stadium in Burnaby, and then as they got a little bit bigger, they went to the new Empire Field at Hastings Park, and then they hit MLS and transitioned to BC Place. So it's kind of cool to see the
Yeah.
trajectory and the growth of this franchise. It's been their first major final since the 1979 Soccer Bowl against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. So it'd be a shame if a team at the height of its popularity in the history of the franchise does not have a stadium to play in.
You might qualify for hunk status with that last statement there, dude. Holy shit. I
I've only
could
been around 26 years.
I could not have told you where the Whitecaps played pre-MLS, but hey, that's why it works, right? You do the research and I react to stuff. But yeah, you're right. The commissioner, his name is escaping me right now, but Farhan Lalji at halftime of the MLS Cup final was talking to the commissioner, and commissioner basically said they like Vancouver, that the fan base is good, but the situation with BC Place is untenable. And once I heard that word, I was like, ooh, okay, untenable. That's a fairly strong choice of words to use. So yeah, they got to get something done because like you said, right now with all the momentum that the team has and Mueller coming back for another year, and you've got people interested now. You're a good team, so it would really suck to kind of squander that and have somebody move the team somewhere else. That'd be really shitty.
Yeah, so hopefully they can figure out a deal. But as you mentioned, BC Place will be ready for the World Cup, and we had the World Cup draw on Friday. Did you end up watching it? If so, how are you feeling about it?
I did not watch it. It was definitely more of a see what happens when this is done. I wasn't really feeling like sitting through that. Do you could you potentially explain to me and the listeners what is going on with the groups that only have three squads in them?
Yeah, so I can explain first of all, the World Cup qualifying is really stupid. So here's my thing. We're going to hear a lot of complaining within the next 5 to 10 minutes from me, and then the World Cup is going to roll around, and I'm going to be the most excited person on the planet. Maybe not, but I'm going to be pretty close up there. So all my complaining is going to be for nothing. But previously, every World Cup in recent history has been 32 teams. They have now expanded it to 48, which I think is a terrible decision in terms of the quality of soccer you're getting. Um, for example, I don't understand why Curacao is in a World Cup. For Wayne Gretzky, it is pronounced Curacao, not however he pronounced it. I don't know if you saw that clip. Um, Wayne Gretzky was, did you see the clip or no?
I did not. I did not.
Okay. For those who haven't seen the clip, Wayne Gretzky was one of four athletes who were drawing the teams and announcing what group they were in. And he butchered almost every country's pronunciation. It was so bad. But you know what? He's the best hockey player of all time, so nobody really cares. Um, Either way, moving forward, I understand the expansion, first of all, from a financial standpoint. More jerseys sold, more TV deals, more games, more tickets. Like money-wise, it makes sense for the smaller nations that got in, like a Curacao or a Haiti or an Uzbekistan, for example. They're probably pretty hyped that they've had the opportunity to qualify and see their nation in there, even with the expansion. Hungary did not get in, which kind of tells you where we're at. So this led to restructuring the qualifying format for the World Cup. And so what ends up happening is you have all your automatic qualifiers. So you're split into confederations based on your region. These are all the teams that qualified automatically. And then you have the playoff paths. So there are still, I believe, 6 teams that can qualify. So the UEFA playoff paths are essentially they're all split into groups. The top team in each group in qualifying automatically qualified for the World Cup. The second team in each group goes into a playoff path where you have to play another team head to head. If you win, you move on to the final for that playoff path. And if you win the final for the playoff path, you have qualified. So those are the UEFA ones for the European team. So there's going to be 4 more European teams joining us. And then there are 2 international playoff paths, which include the other confederations. So CONCACAF, CONMEBOL. Um, I don't remember what the Asian Soccer Federation is, but there's one from Asia, one from Africa, and one from Australia. And basically, how that works is the top ranked team that qualified for the playoff path gets a bye. The other two international teams play each other. The winner of that game plays the team with the bye. The team that wins that gets in. So we have two paths there. If you look at some of these teams, it's really funny how, for example, like in Italy is not automatically qualified for the World Cup, but I believe in the international playoff path, you have like New Caledonia that still has a chance to qualify. You got Suriname in there. It's actually kind of wild, some of the teams that have the opportunity to qualify. Did that make sense to you in the slightest?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. That's probably not the greatest explanation of it. Um,
That's all right.
but long story short, so the groups that are designated with the UEFA playoff winners, so those are going to be European teams that are joining. The other two groups are going to be international teams from somewhere else in the world, not in Europe. So the thing with that is we know which teams are in each qualifying path. And the reason I brought up Italy, for example, is Italy is in the qualifying path for the UEFA Playoff A, which means if they win, they're joining Canada's group.
Right.
So that may be a little bit of a scary thing if you're the Canadians. Because if I'm not mistaken, even though they came second in their qualifying group, Italy only lost one game. So I do not want to play the Italians.
Yeah, I don't have much of an expectation for Canada to win the World Cup in soccer ever. If they were to go on an insane run and pull something like that off, that'd be sweet. But to be honest, I'm more just looking forward to watching some elite level football, if we want to call it that. It is kind of crazy looking at this board and seeing countries like Cabo Verde. I'm not gonna lie and tell you I knew that was a country before today.
They've
Uzbekistan.
actually had they've had a pretty good run, African nation. But yeah, they've I believe this is their first World Cup, but they look very strong in African qualifiers as well as the Africa Cup of Nations. So I don't know where that talent it's kind of like when Iceland made the World Cup a few World Cups ago. It's like, oh, that kind of came out of nowhere. But those guys look pretty good in qualifying. Unfortunately for them, they are drawn into a group with three nations that are pretty tough. Spain and Uruguay have both won World Cups before. Saudi Arabia consistently gets out of their group, and they're hosting a World Cup coming up. So I do not have the highest expectations in the world for Cabo Verde, unfortunately.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, props to him for making it. Just saying it's a bit wild seeing places like Curacao and Jordan in the World Cup. But I hope one of those teams is able to pull it off and win it. Screw all the powerhouses. Let's go. Let's
I
see a
mean,
Haiti World Cup champion.
for the sake of protecting the quality of the World Cup, I do prefer the 32 teams. Because then you're getting, I mean, before that it used to be 24 and then they expanded to 32. I want to say it was either 94 or 98 when they expanded to 32. So I kind of like just having it condensed to the top teams in the world. But the good news is we should at least see Canada get out of their group because with the expansion, they needed to change how teams get into the knockout phase. So before in the knockout phase, the top two teams from each group make the knockout phase. Now the top two teams from each group make the knockout phase. Plus, out of the 12 groups, the eight highest seeded third place teams. So even if you come third in your group, you have an over 50% chance of getting out of it into the knockouts. So hypothetically, let's say Canada draws Italy and they have a tough time against Italy and Switzerland. I'm expecting Canada to kind of torch Qatar and still end up with at least one win in this group. And, they've had an extra 4 years of preparation. Last World Cup, we had a terrible draw. It was Belgium, Croatia, and Morocco. Belgium and Croatia consistently top 10 nations in football, as we'll call it every year. Morocco is easily the most dominant African team. They made a semifinals. I think a lot of people expect them to go on a run again in this upcoming World Cup. So this group, it's not as easy as maybe the Americans have it, but it's definitely looking a little bit more favorable because of that expansion. And I guess that's the cool thing for these smaller nations is you have the opportunity to see your team play a knockout game. But I don't know. I don't like it. I wish it was 32, but when the time comes for the World Cup to be on TV, I'm still going to be tuning in.
Me as well. Me as well. Should we potentially move to a sport that had its champion decided as well, seeing as we've been on the champion train so far here?
We can. Where's Mike? Is he hiding behind that door? Is he gonna pop
Uh,
out?
Mike's either working out or he's driving food to people. So
It's
one of
always
those two. But I tried to get him to come on. I was greasing the wheels. It seemed like he was excited to come on. So I think eventually we'll be able to get him. But
yeah. We'll have plenty to talk about. This is the end of an era in Formula One because all the regulations for next year are being redone. So we're kind of scrapping it, and we will have to determine the new world order of who has the strongest car next year. For this year, it was McLaren that had the strongest car. They won the Constructors' Championship very decidedly, which I'm thrilled about because I'm a massive McLaren fan. The Drivers' Championship came down to the final race. It was a three-way fight between the two McLarens and four-time defending world champion Max Verstappen. And Lando Norris ended up prevailing. So congratulations to Lando Norris. I'm very torn on this one. I thought as a McLaren fan, I would be more excited than I actually am because to me, in the spirit of racing, the best Formula One driver did not win the championship. Like the fact that Max was, I believe it was like 100 and it was over 100 points. Then it was like 140 or something points down from Oscar Piastri at one point, and he clawed all the way back to 2 points in arguably the worst Red Bull he's ever had is absolutely insane. Like if he was in a McLaren, this championship would have been over in Belgium, probably. Like, there's no way this championship goes to the final race if he was in a McLaren. So I do feel a little bit bad because I genuinely believe the best driver didn't win. But as we know in sports, they don't ask how. Lando Norris is a world champion. Can't take that away from him. Very happy for the guy. Out of the two drivers, I wish them both success, Norris and Piastri. I'm definitely more of a Norris guy than a Piastri guy. So I'm very excited for him and for McLaren. I'm just not as excited as I thought I would be.
fair enough. Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff saying that even though Max didn't end up winning, um, he honestly like just cemented his legacy even more and kind of built up that allure, that mystique around him even more with his performances. Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to be super knowledgeable on all things F1, but it's always good when a championship or a deciding um, match, game, race, whatever, when it comes down to the last one, you're going to tune in more people, more casuals like myself. So it was interesting to follow it down to the end. I'm happy for you that your team ended up pulling out the victory. So congrats there. We'll see. We'll see what happens next year. You said they're changing regulations.
Yes, this is the end of their regulations, so they're changing a whole bunch of systems. The biggest one they're overhauling is the DRS system. For those who don't know, that stands for the drag reduction system. Basically, they open um, they open up I don't even know what it's called, the spoiler fin, whatever it's called, on the back of the car. They open it up, and it gives them a little bit more aerodynamics, reduces the pull on the car, so they can open that up in straights and gain a little bit more speed. They're only allowed to open that up if they are within 1 second of the car they're trying to chase down. So I don't know if they are just going to change the mechanics or if they're going to change the ruling as well. I believe the ruling will stay the same, that you still have to be within 1 second of the car. Um, but either way, that should be really interesting because the Red Bull seat beside Max Verstappen has been kind of cursed ever since Daniel Ricciardo left. I don't know how much Jude has followed this, but for those who watch Formula One, we all know how much heat Sergio Perez got, even though he was second in a world championship in a Red Bull, but he got a lot of heat for his performances, and it has not gone well for him near the end of his tenure, for Pierre Gasly, for Alex Albon. Liam Lawson, Yuki Tsunoda, everyone who sat in that second seat has had a terrible time. And it'll be really interesting with the regulations how this affects how the cars are developed for next year. Because all things being even, we may see a Red Bull car under new regulations that's a lot more drivable, which means Max Verstappen could have a very dominant teammate in Isaac Hadjar next year. So that's very exciting. And to your point too, it's like it's always good when racing comes down to the very end. I think aside from the fact that there was a championship, this race was kind of boring. But what made it so exciting for me is that any safety car from anyone at any point could have flipped the race upside down. Like we saw the last time a championship was decided with Max Verstappen in Abu Dhabi, the infamous Max versus Lewis Hamilton decision to unlap the cars slash not unlap the cars.
I actually
Um,
watched that race.
did you?
I did. I actually was tuning in for that one. I remember Lewis Hamilton had a sweet helmet on, but I still wanted him to lose.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? It's like you never, when it comes down to the final race, a safety car or an incident, or even a flat tire, slow pit stop, that can change anything. So it's a lot more exciting when it is close like this. Although McLaren should have put it on ice because they clearly had the strongest machinery, but. That's okay. What's done is done. They still won. Norris still won the drivers' championship, so congratulations to both those guys, and hopefully we'll see a more competitive field next year.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe next year will be the first year I actually get dialed and watch them. I don't know if I'll ever be able to sit through the races all the way, but maybe I'll at least like follow it next year. We'll see what happens. We'll get an episode with Mike on here. You guys can nerd out about F1. Maybe we'll call Gavin in as a expert third party.
Yeah, just watch some Drive to Survive, and you'll get the
Yeah,
gist of it.
that's true. That probably would fire me up because the F1 movie was pretty electric. That did make me pretty excited.
Yeah, that's all you got to do. Just when Drive to Survive comes out for this season, take a gander at that, and then you'll be all caught up. You don't have to watch any of the races. It'll just tell you what's going on in 10 episodes.
Exactly. Perfect. That's what I want. Speaking of though, should we maybe move to some hockey? Do you got anything burning on your brain?
Yeah, I got a few things burning. I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but I believe my things are all in the West. Um,
Okay.
you ever watch Stranger Things?
I have watched it. Yep.
Okay, I thought this was hilarious because I saw a clip. This isn't really hockey news. I just thought it was really funny, so I wanted to share it. But Eva Erickson, who's previously mentioned, who I hope comes on the pod one day, former Survivor runner-up. She was talking about different hockey players, and she put out a video on Tyler Bertuzzi and how strange his looks are. And I think it's so funny because the way she described him, she said he looks like Billy from Stranger Things if he did meth.
Ah, jeez.
So I thought that was funny.
Jeez.
Tyler Bertuzzi taking some friendly fire.
Yeah, catching strays, man. What did Tyler do?
I could
Actually,
see it
he
though.
got a hat trick against the Canucks this year, so fuck it, I'm with her.
Um, all in all, though, I thought it was pretty funny to get to actual hockey news. We talked a couple episodes ago about what Vegas is going to do with their goaltending. We may have found an answer because in 3 games, Carter Hart looks pretty good. He's 2 wins, 1 loss. His numbers aren't the best. He's below 900 with the save percentage, but he's getting there. Like he hasn't played NHL hockey in a while. He needs to get back in the swing of things. So all in all, if it keeps going in this trajectory, obviously they have a strong defense and the ability to score goals. So Vegas may have found their goaltending answer, which is unfortunate for every other team in the Pacific Division.
Yeah, and like you said, it's been a long time since he was an everyday NHLer, so might take him a while to get back into the proper swing of things. But either way, having a tandem, like having him or a Hill that you can go to is definitely gonna add a level of confidence to the team that you wouldn't have otherwise. So, um, we'll see if they can maintain that. He should be fresh at least, compared to a lot of guys having missed a rather significant chunk of time away from the game. But yeah, can't say I'm too stoked about that as a Pacific Division fan myself. Actually, I shouldn't say that because I kind of I'm in that place where I need my team to lose as many games as possible. So,
Well, they're doing a good job of that for you.
yes, they are. Maybe we can get to that in a bit, but yeah, I guess good for Vegas, good for Carter Hart. We'll see what happens going forward.
While we're in the Western Conference, we can stay there because we usually talk about the Canucks struggles a bit, which I'm sure we'll get to in next in five. But wow, I'm a little nervous because I been watching my Winnipeg Jets here, and boy, do they not look good. 2-7-1 in the last 10 games. Um, they've been fairly competitive, but it's kind of warning bells going off when you get torched by Buffalo. And they called that players only meeting, which is it can either do you wonders um, or that's kind of the beginning of the end. I know Pat Maroon was telling a story about their players only meeting in St. Louis in 2019. I believe Doug Armstrong came down and just kind of lost his shit at everyone, and then after that, the players knew something something had to change. But the good news is we played Buffalo later in the week and we beat them. Bad news is we lost to Montreal and Dallas. But the thing I'm noticing with the Jets is we're one of the older teams in the league, so this makes sense. But we're also a very slow team. Like we've kind of fallen into the one line category with the Scheifele Connor Villardi line, and like Pearson looks terrible, Taves looks terrible, Nemesnikov looks terrible. Um, Kepka's not that old, but he looks terrible. Perfetti's not scoring. We're also slow. We can't move the fucking puck. Like it's like I don't know what's going on, and we didn't change much from last year. And you know, obviously it's a grind to win the President's Trophy, but it's like, did Nikolai Ehlers make this big of a difference? Like probably not going from President's Trophy to far out of a playoff spot right now. And like I don't know what's going on. But the other thing I looked at too is Eric Comrie's playing very well for us, like numbers aside. I've definitely watched more Jets games than any other team, and the Jets they're still kind of even in chances with their opponents. They're fairly even in goals. Like Comrie doesn't have great numbers, but especially watching against Montreal, all our chances we're giving up are high danger chances. Like you have no clue how many times I watched Ivan Demidov come up the middle of the ice. And it was so frustrating because like we outshot them. We were spending more time in their zone, but Eric Comrie's forced to make these highlight reel saves on almost every play. And like, holy shit, I don't know what to do. If and this kind of comes down to me thinking, and I've said this before, our play defensively and offensively is inflated when Connor Hellebuck is in net. Now that he's injured, the true colors of this team are showing, and I don't think we actually need to blow it up, because that's a very knee-jerk reaction uh, to this amount of losing. But I do think something needs to change, and we need to decide: do we want to restructure defensively or do we want to restructure offensively? Because neither of those things are working, and we need to solve at least one of those problems.
Yeah, I think you hit on a couple good points there. I have not watched as many Jets games as you have, but looking at some numbers here, it looks like you're spot on saying they're a one line team. The three guys you mentioned, I mean, Scheifele and Connor are way over a point a game. Velarde's just under it, and then after that, the forward with the next most points is Nino Niederreiter, and he has just over half a point a game. So looks like they're very reliant on that top line. Not a lot of depth scoring, which, as you're saying, especially when you're having defensive lapses and you're not too sound with that part of your game, it's hard to outscore it. when you've only got really three guys who are driving offense up front. And then the other problem, I think the biggest issue looking from the outside is Eric Comrie and Connor Hellebuyck have played the same amount of games so far this year. Um, that's not a recipe for success for this team, given how reliant that they are on Connor Hellebuyck to win them games and give them a chance every night. So how much longer is he supposed to be out for?
At the time of his surgery, it was 4 to 6 weeks, so he's probably got another probably like 2 to 4 weeks on that, I think.
Yikes. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess this team's definitely in win now mode, so maybe they have to try and swing some type of trade to get another offensive piece in there.
Well, that would have to be Brad Lambert probably. But like I'm worried a little bit to be honest because first of all, I never thought the Jets were winning anyways, just because of the my whole Gary Bettman Canadian team theory. But if we're gonna have success, the time is now. But we also don't have much up the pipeline. Unfortunately, Chaz Lucis had to retire early. We traded Rutger. He didn't want to be in Winnipeg. Brad doesn't want to be in Winnipeg. And so, like, trading Brad Lambert is one thing. Trading Brad Lambert after he's requested a trade, kind of devalues him a bit because in other teams' eyes, they know he doesn't want to be here. Um, and I understand why he's not playing. It's because of the contracts and you don't want to have to be waiving guys or having the potential of them getting picked up on waivers if you move them down to bring up Brad and give him more playing time. But you can't tell me that I don't want to pick on him, but a guy like Tanner Pearson is better in the lineup than Brad. And like even Nyquist, I know Nyquist has been injured, but throughout the games he's played this season, he's been god awful. And I hate saying that because he's my favorite player, but I don't know
That's
what's
tough.
going on.
That must be tough for you to watch that.
It's brutal. And the other thing, here's what I would love to do. Okay, this is what I'd love to do.
No, sorry to cut it. No goals in 20 games for Nyquist.
So bad. And the problem is like we kind of saw him not play well in Nashville. We saw him not play well in Minnesota, and he needs to be with a play driving center so he can just get to open ice. And so if Nyquist isn't playing on the top line, uh, he's not going to produce because Winnipeg doesn't have those kind of players down the middle. Like Taves and Lowry are not those guys. And it hasn't worked for him, and that's why it didn't work in Minnesota. And obviously, you're not going to split up your only line that's working for you right now with Velarde, Connor, and Scheifele to accommodate a guy like Gustav Nyquist. So I think we do need to bring in some scoring help. I've always said this. I think we need to retool our defense. I've never liked the defense under Kevin Cheveldayoff. We went from having one of the best decors in the league to I think one of the weakest decors in the league when it comes to the eye test. On paper, their numbers look really good, but how much does that have to do with Connor Hellebuyck? Um, for me, like Pionk and Morrissey, top tier defensemen, especially Josh Morrissey's a top five D man in the league, in my opinion. Logan Stanley's having maybe the best year of his career so far. Dylan Sandberg looks really good. The guy I look at is Dylan DeMello. If we could move Dylan DeMello and retool our defense a little bit, if we want to go that route, for being structured better on the back end instead of trying to bring in goals, I think Dylan DeMello is the guy I look at to move. On the flip side, if you want to keep the defense, which Kevin Cheveldayoff likes, this structure, if you want to bring in goal scoring, we can do that, but we don't have a whole lot of buying power right now. Like, who are you going to move to bring in goal scoring?
Yeah, it's a tough situation. I mean, looking at the numbers, they're only 2 points out of playoff spot right now, but that's a wild card. They are 8 points out of being top three in the division, which at this point in the year, unless Minnesota kind of falls off a cliff, it's going to be pretty hard to make up that ground because Minnesota's sitting at 37 points. They're third in the division. Dallas is 10 points up on them with 47 points, second in the division. So it's kind of crazy that we're saying this at the start of December, but the season is slipping away a little bit from these teams that are starting to find themselves near the bottom.
Yeah, and I don't think I think Dallas and Colorado are gone. I don't think anyone's catching him. And for me, the concern isn't necessarily where the are at right now in terms of points. The concern is the trend. This is the trend without Connor Hellebuck in net is we're giving up high danger chances. We're not producing enough goals, and you can see that in our last 10 games, only 2 wins. So it's more so I don't know how we're going to fix this problem while Connor Hellebuck is out to kind of escape the trend that's going on right now. But also, knee surgery for a goalie is a very scary thing. We don't know if Connor Hellebuck will be the same Connor Hellebuck when he comes back.
Yeah, that's true. It's a lot of time to miss in the middle of a season. I have faith that he's still going to come back and be the best option that they have. But you're right. That we see it with our goalie all the time here in Vancouver. Missing games is never fun for anybody. It can take a while to get back into a regular groove and rhythm. But for your sake, I hope the Jets can hang on a little bit and find a way to get it done. I think they got to bring in, even if it's just a kind of useless defensive or useless defensively winger that can put up like 0.75, zero point 0.8 points a game. I think they got to find a way to get somebody in there because the goals are not coming not coming often right now for the squad.
We'll trade you, we'll trade you Jonathan Taves for Jake DeBrusk.
I'd actually take that probably. I'm not gonna lie. Get get
Yeah.
get that 5.5 million off the books for a guy that gets a lot of cardio these days. I'll say that.
Yeah, there we go. Well, like that's the thing. We don't have any. You talk about not having play driving centers in Vancouver. We don't really have any in Winnipeg aside from our top line, right? So,
Yeah.
you know what? Oh well, that our team's structured defensively, it's not working. But yeah, alarm bells are kind of ringing. Do we want to get to your lack of play driving centers now? Should we do it?
Yeah.
Should we do next and five?
Yeah, let's do it. I got a bit a bit to get off my chest if we want to start here. If you take a look at the screen that Ethan has pulled up, there's a couple teams below your squad there in the Central Division. If we take a look at the division below that, Pacific, you gotta go all the way down the bottom there. Oh, yeah, there's the Canucks. Nobody to look down at. We're 3 points behind the lowly Calgary Flames and Seattle Kraken. Um, year's over. Year's over. Another year goes by where season's over in November. So we got 50 something games to go. Couldn't go fast enough. I have to give the team credit. I would say 90% of the games that I've watched them play this year, it's not a matter of effort. It's not a matter of quitting. It's a hard-working team. I'll give Adam Foote credit for that. None of the guys quit. They played to the end. It's simply a matter of not being a very talented roster. We do not have the horses to keep up with most teams in the NHL. Damn near every single game, I think if you look at a roster comparison with Vancouver and the team that they're playing, they're outskilled. Um, and it's just really unfortunate to see what's happened with the team in the last few years. Alvin and Rutherford came in. There was such a sense of hope. Jim Benning was gone. We had three top line centers. We had Quinn Hughes. We had an all-star goalie, and to see what has befallen this franchise since those early days of Alvin and Rutherford, it's tough. But I'm at the point now where I've accepted we got to lose. We got to lose a lot. I've been asking for a rebuild for a long time. Um, and now yeah, it's time to sit in there and take it. I'm a true fan, so I'm gonna be there in the losses just as I would be in the wins. Um, but yeah, I there's a lot of talk now about a Quinn Hughes trade, especially in this market. Teams that have kind of been out there per Elliott, per Saravalli, some other guys. Detroit, New Jersey, obviously, Philadelphia, I've heard. I think probably just because of the Talkit connection there. If it's up to me, anywhere but New Jersey, I'm not letting him go exactly where he wants to go. Okay, like you can go there in a year and a half. I'm not walking you right to them. And if you are going to trade him to New Jersey, better be the biggest haul I've ever seen for a single player getting dealt. But yeah, time to move veterans. I think they should have traded Kiefer Sherwood a while ago because he hasn't scored in like 10 games. The value's dropping with every game that goes by. There's some good young pieces. Tom Willander looks really good. I've been impressed with him. DPD maybe hasn't had the strongest start, but it's the NHL. He's young, and it it's not a linear progression for most guys. So still have faith in him. Quinn Hughes doesn't have a point in his last 6 games. I believe the Canucks have 3 goals in their last 4 games total. Uh, so yeah, it hasn't been. It's not fun
Well,
times right now. Losing sucks. Everybody knows that.
they got 3 goals against they got 4 goals against Minnesota, no? Or was it 3?
Oh, sorry. You're right. Total people play the game. Yeah, I meant
Yeah.
they have 3 goals in Kevin Lankinen's last 4 starts.
Oh, okay.
My bad. But yeah, shutout in their last game. Um, yeah, it's not fun. Like I said, the effort's there. I feel bad for Adam Foote. I honestly feel like he was kind of hired with the team knowing like, look, if things don't go well and we absolutely stink, this will be an easy guy to fire and we'll bring up Malhotra, no problem. Which I think I can't see Adam Foote returning after this year. You're 32nd in the league. Again, I don't necessarily think it's his fault. There's roster is just woefully
Abysmal.
insufficient. Yeah. And if Rutherford and Alvin are going to be around, it's just an easy excuse for them to go fire the coach and bring out Malhotra. But this begs another question. This might be a bit longer than Nux and Five here today because I got some questions.
Okay.
If we're according to Elliot, it's in Rutherford's hands whether or not a rebuild's going to happen. Apparently, Aquilini left it up to him, which is kind of shocking. I'm happy about it, but it begs the question: if you're going to rebuild, are you really going to let the guys that kind of tore this roster apart lead you into the rebuild? Like when they got here, Rutherford and Alvin, we had 3 legitimate top line centers, and now you're left with Pedersen and 3 fourth line centers. Which no shade to Ratu, he's played well lately, and he's a young guy, but uh, it's crazy. Look at this team, the lack of offensive depth, and you called it before the season. It's really thin up front. Like, are you going to let the guys who have kind of torn this roster down lead you into the next phase as well, especially when Rutherford is 76. He's really getting up there. You're going to lose Quinn Hughes, the best player in franchise history. I don't know. I don't think I've got faith in these guys to go through a rebuild and come out the other side.
So I guess 2 things on that. I think I have more faith in Patrick Alvin than Jim Rutherford, just because Patrick Alvin is a first-time GM. He comes with a little bit fresh ideas. Maybe he's a little bit green in certain areas, but he also had to clean up a massive, massive mess. That was the Jim Benning era. So he was not uh, dealt an easy hand to start with. So I think I want to give Patrick Alvin a little bit more grace on that. Jim Rutherford should know better. He's been around now. He's been in Carolina. He's been in Pittsburgh. And I want to say I did call it at the beginning of the season. I said this team's depth offensively is terrible, and we're seeing it right now. But I think they also have to make a decision on which direction they want to go in. And I think most people are on board with the rebuild. We've been saying that for years. For whatever reason, no Canucks GM has ever wanted to fully commit to that. But I think
Well, I think it's always kind of been understood that ownership was not going to ever greenlight tearing it down to the studs. So I think that's the difference now is that
But we don't know if ownership's green lighted that, right? And so you may just have to be a GM that goes, hey, like if Patrick Alvin thinks, hey, if I'm getting fired, I'm gonna do my best to give this team, the structure that I think it needs to win, and that may be a rebuild, right? Like I'm convinced that guys know when they're getting fired. Like it usually doesn't happen out of the blue. You're pretty aware when you're on the hot seat. So then it's up to them to make those decisions. The guy I wanted to point out though is Atu Ratu. Offensively, he looks abysmal. He is not a good play driving forward. He is not a good producer. it looks like a terrible trade now. In terms of the Bo Horvat trade, obviously there were draft picks involved there. What I do like though is I watched a couple of Canucks games this week. This guy is insane in the face-off dot. He is so good at face-offs, and the Canucks center depth is terrible. So you kind of need him because especially in your own end, if you can't be giving the puck to the other team in your own end off the draw. So having a guy like Atu Ratu there is huge, and the defense is actually looking pretty decent for the Canucks from a defensive standpoint. Like Hughes and Roenick are still good. I agree with you. Willander's been great. DPD has his moments. He makes mistakes, but he's still young. Um, so my question is I think you have to make a decision. Do you prioritize offense or do you prioritize defense or just a little bit of both? Right? Like
I
which direction do you go with that?
I think it's just all about the centers right now for the Canucks. If you look at the defense, even if you do lose Quinn Hughes, we're still gonna have Roenick and Myers and Pettersson. I know Myers and Pettersson haven't exactly had all-star seasons so far, but they're still veteran guys that you can count on to some degree. We've got Willander and DPD already
Vi
playing games. We got
Victor
Mancini also
Mancini, friend of the
exactly
show.
exactly waiting in the wings. So the defense, honestly, I think they're off to a good start already, kind of setting up the decor for the future, and then to top that off, maybe you get another defensive piece in a Quinn Hughes trade. But I think it's got to be all systems focused on revamping the center depth because I would challenge anybody to find me a worse group of centers on a nightly basis in the NHL than what the Canucks are putting out there.
With everyone healthy or as it stands right now, or either or. Because the one
Well,
my I would Nashville, but outside of Nashville, then yeah, Canucks are right there.
yeah, true. Okay, well, good point. But I think you got to go with as it stands right now because Filipino, I'm not convinced he's ever going to play another National Hockey League game. I hope for his sake and mine that he does, but it's kind of like Demko. You can't rely on him to be in the, like he comes back. I don't think it's a question of can he get healthy again. It's can he stay healthy, and that is going to forever be an unknown. So I think it's got to be all systems go on getting young centers and getting them up to speed as quick as possible. But oh, I shouldn't say that actually. See, my brain's so hardwired for like needing to get good. No, let's be bad for like 2, 3 years.
Yeah,
Let's for the first time be intentionally bad, lose games, trade veterans with term, accumulate as many first round picks, second round picks, uh, touted prospects, and yeah, just embrace the rebuild because if we lose games anyways, it might as well be on purpose and calculated.
yeah, and you know what? Even if you lose Quinn Hughes, which I think a trade needs to happen now. I've said a trade needs to happen now. Um, Depending on how the draft lottery falls, which it never seems to fall in the Canucks' favor. But you do have a shot at Keaton Verhoff, so that would be a huge acquisition if the Canucks are able to draft him. Um, I kind of look at this too. I agree. Like you need depth up the middle. Even the wingers aren't scoring. Like they could, like this whole team just like sorry to say, they just all kind of suck for the most part. And I think they're the only guy I probably wouldn't automatically touch is Brock. He's the only guy. And I'm not saying he's played great this year. I'm not saying he's a play driver, but just because he signed that new deal 6 years, I think it would look really shitty from a morale standpoint to tell a guy we're going to lock you up and then try and go about trading him. So you have a conversation with him for sure as the most senior member on the team. I believe he's the longest tenured Canuck at this point.
He is.
And you can go, hey, this is the plan. We're looking to trade Quinn. Do you want to be here? Like I would give him the opportunity to decide what he wants to do. But outside of that, just tear this team to the ground and start fresh. Because even like Ratu, I think he's a guy I'd keep around just because of his face-offs. But like you need guys that can put in the net, and the Canucks haven't been able to do that for so long now.
Yeah, I think Brock's a career Canuck after signing that extension. I think regardless of how the team is, he wants to be here.
Well, if he wants to go, you move him for sure.
Yeah, I just don't think like his girlfriend's from Vancouver. He calls it like his second home. I think he's gonna be here. Um, Regardless. And even in a massive rebuild, I think teams can make mistakes getting rid of everybody because then you're bringing all these young guys into a situation where there's no chance of success for a couple of years, and you run the risk of them developing a losing mentality. So I think it's good to keep some guys around, like Besser, Garland, maybe, who are willing to go through a rebuild.
I think you have to move Garland only because he probably has the most value right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I'm just saying, like in general, if you do have veterans who are willing to stick it out, it can be good to bring young guys into a situation where they're not completely out of their depth off the start. But yeah, I'm with you. Tear the team down. There's really not much else to say. You're last in the league in start of December, and generally that's not going to get turned around. I don't see this team pulling off a 2019 St. Louis Blues run to the Cup. I'll tell you
no,
that.
you want them to lose as much as possible, and the good news is they're doing it right now. And but that's a good point. Like you do need certain pieces there. And I do think I mean I've never been a Tyler Myers guy personally. You mentioned Marcus Pettersson. I do think having Marcus Pettersson still on the team is huge, especially if you can surround him with young guys. Philip Roenick is still producing at a high level defensively, offensively, maybe not so much. Um,
He's been
but
great
the
this year, though.
yeah, but the thing with like filling this team with young guys is you do need a bit of a stabilizing presence around them. And you look at Pedersen, came from Pittsburgh, came from playing with Crosby and Malkin, so that's a big influence that he's going to have on the locker room. Besser, longest tenured Canuck, he knows the culture and the ups and downs of the organization, so that's another plus to keeping him there. And I know, we were asked before by some viewers if we can contrast the Canucks rebuild to some of the other ones, and the one I want to look at in their own division is San Jose. They kept guys like Mark-Edward Vlasic was around for a long time. He also had an untradeable contract, so that's probably why he was there. But this is a guy who's an Olympic gold medalist. Tyler Toffoli, they brought in. He's won Stanley Cups. So the Canucks maybe don't have that leadership experience from a winning perspective, but it's good to keep very good point to keep a few veterans around just for that stability and to kind of guide the younger guys. And I think both Besser and then Marcus Pettersson are the two guys you look at to do that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, you look at Chicago, Bedard, his first couple of years, I think might have gone a bit differently if he had a bit more support there. It wasn't just a bunch of young guys and AHL guys. So, um, yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully next week, maybe we'll have some news to discuss on the trade front with the Canucks instead of just going into every game knowing we're gonna lose.
Yeah, there we go. So the next and five ran a little bit long. Do you got anything else?
No, I'm
Okay.
good. There's not much
Well,
other news, I think.
yeah. So I got one other thing. Just want to do a quick shout out. No more news. But for those who don't know, I thought this was hilarious. It was my birthday a little bit ago, and we had Mr. Ben Seward on the show. If you haven't seen the episode with former MVP West Shore safety Ben Seward. Go check it out. Hopefully we can have him back one day. But he got me a birthday card and it's so funny. So I gotta share it here. He goes up to me, he goes, "Hey, just so you know, I couldn't find a card for 26, so I had to improvise," is what he said. And this is what I end up with here.
Nice. Have
It's
fun.
not bad. And then it gets better. I don't know if I'm gonna pretend that this gentleman did it himself, but I got a nice little happy birthday from Radko Gudas.
Okay.
Um, I'm gonna pretend that Radko Gudas contacted Ben and told him to do that. So thank you both to Ben and Radko, who is now my favorite Anaheim Duck.
There you go.
That's all I got.
Hopefully Ben's doing better with his concussion.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully we can get him back on, and we wish him the best of luck. Concussions are never fun, as Philip Hedl knows.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening to our recap on the struggling Canucks and the struggling Jets. And all things sports over the weekend. We'll be back next week with another episode. As always, feel free to comment, write in, and we always appreciate hearing your thoughts, and we appreciate you guys tuning in.